Now shifting gears to the men's side, I mean you have to be pleased with the 6-1 start, win over Division I opponent, and then now 3 in a row against nationally ranked teams. I mean, what have you been pretty impressed, or is this kind of what you expected?
I've been impressed. I have to admit. I think this past weekend playing against Piercy State, that's where I realized we had something special with this team. We came out of the doubles, down 2-1. Piercy State came in, literally fired up. Starting the singles, we struggled, but we hang in there, and we figure out a way to turn the table around. And we just, at the end, we were dominant on every single match. And I was very impressed with the tenacity of this team. And again, we have a very young team, and there's a bright future for these guys. I was very also impressed in the way they handled the tough matches. They were not intimidated by Butler, even though we lost 5-2. It was a very tight match. And beating IUPUI, who I think we haven't beaten in 7 or 8 years. So it's nice to see that these kids are fearless, and I really enjoyed the attitude that they have. It's a major change from what I've seen last year. They bought into it. They want to win. They want to play tough. They want to compete hard for each other. And you can ask more as a coach when you have a team that is totally bonded.
And you mentioned that they're young, but the tenacity, it's, watching Marco and Fausto play doubles, they're yelling almost every other point, and it's really fun to watch. And you see that sort of across the board.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about college tennis. I mean, you go to any other tournaments, it's almost like an ethic not to get fired up. In college tennis, it's all about getting fired up. It's all about playing for each other. It's all about getting the crowd involved. And that's the fun part about college tennis, and I think the players bought into it. And when they get on the court, it's fun. They're enjoying themselves, and they're showing off the game. They're showing off the hard work they've put together all week.
Talk a little bit about Nico. He's a freshman, but he's in your number 1 spot. Most recently picked up a win against regionally and nationally ranked singles player Ferris. The only loss he has in singles in the spring came against another regionally ranked guy from Dominican, but he's won against Division I competition, regional competition. I mean, he's got to have a pretty high ceiling.
Yeah, he recruiting him, we knew he had a strong potential. I still feel like he hasn't reached his fullest potential. We're still into his matches. There's a lot of work that we need to, we're doing to get him to play the right way. So he's still trying to get used to the style of playing that we are not specifically imposing him, but we're helping him out with. He's buying into it. He's finally buying into it. His mind is about to be set to getting it done on an automatic basis, and it paid off this past weekend. I think he also proved himself that he can beat the best players in this region in handling. And so he was, of course, was very excited about his win, and it did open a new door for him. So I cannot wait to see what he's going to produce next.
Skip down a little bit to your veteran sophomore Luke. He was the team's MVP last year. He's already matched last season's win total this spring. He's gone perfect in singles play and doubles play, for that matter.
Yeah.
Talk about what he's kind of meant for your team so far.
Luke is, is really the backbone of this program. He's steady, he's solid, comes in every day, practices hard every day, and it shows on the tennis court, in his matches. I mean, he's a typical blue-collar tennis player that we want to have in our team. He's the type of kid that is not going to play better, but is not going to play worse. It's consistent. You know what you expect of him. He fights the tennis matches. Even this past week, and I thought he did a fantastic job in beating a guy who, it was neck to neck all the way through the end of the first set. He came winning that tiebreak in the first set, and then next thing you know, he completely took over that match. And the consistency that I see with him is absolutely unbelievable. And definitely our most valuable player so far.
Speaking about the 3 doubles duos you have, that each one features a freshman, and so they're fairly new being partners, but at the same time it seems like they have pretty high chemistry across the board. Especially, I already mentioned Marco and Fausto. They seem to be sort of a tandem there at number 2.
Yeah, it's doubles. I always, I mean, this is pretty much what I preach to my players: is that it's a chemistry thing. We've got to understand each other. We've got to play for each other, and we've got to set each other up. And I see that. I mean, you have good leadership, across all three doubles, and the freshmen respond really well to that leadership. And it's we're not playing our best doubles yet. I think the spring break will be a good time for us to work more into our doubles and really apply the basics that we're looking for. And it's important for us to play good doubles because it really sets a tone for our singles. And we saw it this past weekend where losing two doubles, we felt the pressure. But not lucky, but good enough that we had strong singles playing, and we were able to come on top of the game.
We talked about expectations on the women's side, and now talk about the men's side. Last season also, kind of breaking the mold, getting into the postseason, something this program hasn't done in a long time, and I expect you plan to build on that this year.
Yeah, the expectations are eventually a little higher from last year, but again, to me the expectations is something that I really don't. I do talk about it a lot during the beginning of the season, but then I kind of fade away, and I let the kids to have that in the back of their mind. But we know that our expectations are higher, and the players start talking about winning this conference championship, and they start talking about the postseason, and they're really starting to picture themselves being at the top of this conference and bringing the trophy home. And so now for me it's time to back up a little bit and let them kind of handle their their challenges and the expectations on their own. And like I said, I'm very pleased to see that players have high expectations for themselves. And when you have that type of chemistry in the team, typically results will come along.
Speaking about results, they have won 3 in a row against ranked teams. Now a chance to add 2 more to that with the trip south to Alabama, as you mentioned. I mean, they have to be excited now just to kind of go down and maybe prove a point to some of those other schools in Alabama.
Yeah, West Alabama is a very strong program. We've seen it last year. They beat us fairly handily. Team that plays outdoor most of the year. We're just going to be coming outdoors and playing for about 5 or 6 days. So I think we do talk a lot about mental toughness and trying to apply our basics. And so we'll see where it's going to take us. But I think the players are really looking forward to take a revenge on this match. And Huntsville, same way. We don't really know where they stand. We've never played them before, so we're just going to come out and play and compete hard as we've been doing it so far this year.
Both teams seem to be on the rise, and just real quickly, have several more matches here at Unity Tennis Center. It seems like there's been some pretty good crowds out here, but what's it mean to you to sort of get some of those Greyhound fans, maybe that aren't typical tennis fans? What would you like to kind of see from them, maybe, and kind of invite them out and see, like, hey, we got a pretty good program.
Yeah. I think the word is out. We've got a very strong program. Now we're nationally ranked.
Right.
We're amongst probably the best teams in the region, in the Midwest. It's nice to see some of our tennis club members coming out and support us. More student athletes are coming out and watching our players play. It's nice to see the crowd, being behind what we're trying to accomplish here. And, all I can tell to our friends is bring some more friends, try to, of course, build a great tradition here. We've got a beautiful facility. Our athletic director is doing a great job in supporting our program. And, I'm very pleased with the way things are going right now.